Welcome back to Learn Something New Every Day. In the initial video on the topic of learning as a system, I provided information about the input process involved in learning anything. Today, let's talk about the processing cycle in the learning process. This and future videos are based on the assertion that everything is a system involving input, processing, and output. Learning, then, is also a system. In the previous video, I pointed out that the input process of learning is accomplished through 5 input sources: perception, revelation, discovery, authority, and reasoning. To apply input from any of these sources, the brain must process the information received. The processing of input is a system within a system. The workings of the brain are intricate and complex and not fully understood even now. Processing involves assimilating the input as valid and useful, or rejecting it as not useful or false. Accommodating the input, which means combining or connecting it to other relevant information stored in the brain. And finally, storing the new input for future uses. During the processing of input, we determine whether to accept or reject it. Assimilation means that we accept the input and add it to our stored knowledge in the brain. Unfortunately, this process can be influenced by personal biases or preferences, and is often the cause of poor problem-solving and decision-making. Being objective is not easy. Our emotions and biases can interfere with objectively deciding to assimilate or reject input during processing. Accommodation refers to changes we make in our brain because of assimilating new input. Sometimes new input requires changes to or rejection of previously stored connections in the brain. Accommodation is the process involved in extending, enriching, or correcting previous learning. Storing input is an active and complex process involving multiple regions of the brain and a variety of storage mechanisms. Memory storage in the brain can be broadly categorized into short-term and long-term memory. Short-term memory serves as a temporary workspace, while long-term memory ensures the retention of information over time. Short-term memory enables us to remember some input long enough to temporarily recall or use it. For example, we use short-term memory to remember a phone number long enough to dial it. But once we place the call, the number typically is forgotten. Long-term memory, on the other hand, involves rehearsal and sufficient repetition to enable the input to be permanently stored in memory. Research into the workings of the brain's storage processes are ongoing in the hope of finding cures to enhance memory and thinking capacity and to end the early deterioration of brain functions. Until the deeply hidden secrets of the brain are unlocked, our hope remains in the overused phrase of use it or lose it. Well, that's all for today. Tune in tomorrow to listen to a discussion of the third stage in the learning system, the output stage.